the curiosity to understand the constraint of an HR department or an HR leader,
Mm-hmm.
working, seeing everything that is happening in the organization, and trying to keep everything in balance.
Welcome to the International Institute for Facilitation's podcast, Spaghetti on the Wall. I'm Eileen Dowse, Chair Emeritus and Director of Assessments for INIFAC. And today I'm joined by this amazing woman, Iris Lopez. She is a certified virtual facilitator, she's a certified coach, and an HR strategist. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what do HR professionals look for when hiring a facilitator. So we get into the mind of those HR people. Welcome, Iris. I am so grateful for you sharing your perspective and for being on this podcast.
Of course, thank you, Eileen. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, as an HR leader and executive coach, I spend most of my time helping organizations navigate complex people decisions during moments of change. So I am really excited
Yeah.
to explore how HR leaders thinks about facilitation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, I think this might be a win for both of us because I think it can help you understand the minds of facilitators, and it can certainly help facilitators understand the minds of HR people. I
that,
believe the whole idea here is to help in the best possible way.
yes, definitely. No, definitely. It's a win-win situation.
So let me ask you the first question, which is a pretty basic question, but so important. What does an HR person look for when deciding to hire a facilitator?
Um, well, that's important questions because you know um, organizations, it's natural, and nowadays, the world we live in a global world, where we organizations are in constant changes,
Mm-hmm.
taking decisions, and there's a lot of critical situations where we want to be effective on the way we manage. So I think that when alignments on those organizational targets or outcomes, or maybe we can call goals or objectives, are needed, it's I think it's important for us to think about someone neutral who can
Mm-hmm.
we so that we can bring to the team, so we can bring to the conversations, to be a neutral agent and to look for that win-win situation. Sometimes we do meetings, strategic meetings, or meeting to set goals, a meeting to redirect the course of the business, and we see that those outcomes are weak. We are not having enough engagement from management levels.
Yeah.
Or maybe we see that there's conflict present between management.
Mm-hmm.
So conflict may be, due to maybe power dynamics.
Yeah.
And then you notice, because you are in a room, you notice, you learn to hear what it said, what it says between the lines, and what is not tell.
Right.
So where is important, because the outcomes of those meetings or those interactions are, most of them are strategically, are not there, or are too weak. So
Mm.
you need someone to intervene, neutral agent.
Right. Iris, when if you had three people show
Yeah.
up in your office, one after another, and all of them said, I want to be your neutral facilitator for your group dynamics meeting, for whatever it is. What would you want to hear about that facilitator's knowledge, experience, personality? What would you want to know from those three people? And then obviously the next question would be, and what's going to make you choose person one, two, or three?
Yeah, I would like to learn about their experiences, their history, their stories, doing this. For me, their presence and their judgment are critical tools to be able to be successful managing people that are leaders, that are, subject matter expert, intelligent people you have in your management teams, right? So you need that facilitator to come with with a presence so they can, have that emotional intelligence,
Yes.
that credibility to build that builds credibility
Yes.
with my team, because definitely my team will be screening that person, that new person coming to the room and trying, to find out.
Yeah.
So they need to build confidence, they
Yeah.
need to build trust, they need to be neutral, particularly neutral. And definitely, those are things that also are related to emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And I suspect
Yeah,
they're all those that team is going to come to you to complain.
exactly, exactly. So, um, about their experience, people who can read the room, people who can bring system thinkings to make easy or easier to make, well, not necessarily easy, but to be effective is the word that I wanted to say,
Yeah.
in making people speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So how
And
can I, if I'm person number two, candidate
yep,
number two,
yep.
how can I convince you that I know how to read the room?
Interesting.
I certainly agree that that's what a facilitator needs to do. If that's what you're looking for, what do I need what story do I need to tell? What do I need to say?
um I think the stories behind their experiences will speak, and how they are able to communicate those stories. So, a good communicator, and some people doesn't like to talk about their own success, their own, I have talents.
Yeah.
But in this case, I will definitely look for them to convince me about their capabilities. And the first person they need to convince, it's, in this case, it's me.
Exactly.
So I will, I will have a conversation. I will ask
Yeah.
questions. I will be very interested in learning
Yeah.
from their stories, not only letting them to tell
Yeah.
me their stories, but I will make questions.
Yeah.
So, to look for a sense of are they telling this because they are building up a story?
Yeah.
So I would also like to see, how a kind of cross reference with what are being your experience, and who can, provide some references,
It
something
sounds like you're doing a behavioral interview. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, yeah,
It's
and a
interesting.
reference check.
It's interesting you talk about references. I had one client once that asked me for some references and then asked me to also submit a bad reference. Very
Interesting.
interesting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Felt a
No,
little
makes sense.
uncomfortable giving a bad reference. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to embrace it because, as it turned out, this was a very wise hiring client because they realized that we are not all perfect. And certainly you can spin the this is a bad reference and this was why it was a bad reference and this is what I did to overcome it. But it,
Sure.
we can always talk about the good things. It was a new switch for me on references.
Sure. Interesting.
Yeah, there you go, an idea. You talked about you of these three people coming to you. You talked about they may need to be a subject matter expert. You also talked about wanting a neutral facilitator. What do you mean by subject matter or knowledge of the subject? Are you wanting someone who understands your industry or who really is a subject matter expert and experienced in facilitation?
Well, definitely the experience in the facilitation process it's needed, right? It's but I think that when I was referring is that I'm sitting in my management team. I have seated subject matter expert, and they, like they will be there with questions, and they will be like also questioning the capabilities of this person, trying to, make us agree upon a topic or an objective or something. So definitely, being a subject matter expert on what they do, it's critical.
Yeah, yeah,
But they will be also facing, others in the room who will be somehow challenging them.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure that all adds all to the credibility. All right, so
Yep.
let's decide, or let's say that you've decided on one of those three people to be your facilitator, and they're going to work with you as you pass them on to that team. What's going to be very important for that facilitator? What clarity do they need to gain to help do a good job for you, the organization, and the team that they're working with?
So, okay, can you rephrase the
Yeah, I'm
question?
sorry. So the facilitator's now been hired. So
Uh-huh.
now that person's going to be working with you. And they need to be get some clarity, I would suspect, before they start engaging with the group. What kinds of questions should that facilitator be asking the HR person, be asking the team to make sure that they are on track with delivering the best facilitation possible?
Well, I think that the primary discussion with HR and or the executive team will be what we're trying to achieve. Clarify the objectives. I think this is important, right? If we don't have a clear vision of what we are trying to achieve, well, we may end not achieving necessarily something that it's important. So, and I would like the facilitator to be open to learn from the organization,
Right.
from what are our primary pains, our primary success also. The things that we definitely want to celebrate with the team, but also that they can be open as an active listener to learn about the dynamics, who between the company, right? So to clarify what is the company trying to achieve, what
Right.
decisions are at stake,
Right.
what alignment is needed,
Yeah.
What are the behaviors that we need to work on through this process?
Yeah.
What is aligned? What is already, like what is okay, what is check, 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 and what is, the topics and the things that are bringing us to have that conversation on stage, a different stage than normal,
Mm-hmm.
business would
Right.
do,
Yeah. Yeah.
like their executive meetings. But this is a different stage. We are adding an external resource who is capable, and that person will have some specific objectives.
Yeah.
At the
Right.
end of the day, what else? I
Yeah.
would like them to ask me, what else do you need to know? What else do you need from me, from HR? So you can be successful at the end of the facilitations and that we can together achieve, the common goal. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a matter of having a deep
Yeah.
conversation.
And part of that conversation, how important is it to you, to HR people, to um, pre analyze, assess the agenda, or to fully understand some of the processes being used or the activities being used? And I say that because certainly there are some industries that you can do an activity and it's loved, and there are other professionals and activities or executives that don't want the fluff, that don't want the touchy feely stuff.
And
So
yeah.
as it relates to what's going to be put in that agenda to
Mhm.
achieve that outcome,
Yeah.
what does a HR person who's hiring facilitators want to know?
Definitely, we would like to know what is the design for the facilitation process.
Yeah.
It's important because there are some nuances of organizational culture or in the leadership mindset that we want, if we want to be effective, we want to address. So, as you were telling, maybe that uh, X activity, because you know your people, you know your leaders, you know your culture. Maybe you want to make a swift shift on an activity, or maybe there's some approaches that you know in advance that are not going to be as effective with
Mm-hmm.
a team,
Right.
with your leadership teams, and
Right.
you want to be more direct, more focus on
Yeah.
leading and managing to yeah to work through
Yeah.
the conflict. Yeah, but some organizations, and I've been of several organizations, some organizations we want maybe to have a smoother
Yeah.
path
Yeah.
to that
I've heard some
process.
I've heard some HR people say, "Do you know what? This facilitator came in and told me absolutely how it should be done, and it had to be done this way, and it could only happen this way." And they simply looked at that facilitator and said, "No. No, I
Mhm.
know the company. I know the people." So,
Exactly. Yeah, and so this is, and I think that we can apply this for any of, you know, overall, we as professional,
yeah.
we need to learn, and this is part of skills that we are looking at a facilitator. We need to uh, learn how to read the room, how to read people,
Yeah.
and that is alignment,
Yeah.
and that it's balance.
Mhm.
And in order to us be effective and convincing with people, we
Mhm.
don't convince anybody by telling them, hey, this is my way or no way. No, that's not going to happen. So yeah, that's an extreme, right? But it's having that balance,
Yeah.
and I think that it's important. One of the things, it's be an active listener, that
Mm.
capability to listen and to corroborate what I'm listening, the
Mhm.
insights and the input that I'm taking, and the conclusions that I'm arriving to are
Mhm.
correct and are aligned to what
Mhm.
the clients and in this case, the organization, the HR is asking.
It sounds, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's like that. How do you build rapport? How do you build that connection to, again,
Exactly.
serve the organization to help that group achieve their outcome? Now, I realize that this is a podcast put on by INIFAC, who certifies facilitators. So if you could, please be as open and honest as you can. All right, I'm aware that there may be a conflict of interest here. How important is a facilitator having a credential to someone in HR hiring people? Now, this may be your perspective, or think about other HR people you know. How important is that credential? And again, I realize I'm not setting you up here. I honestly don't know the answer.
But for me, it's really important. Nowadays, we have an issue that everybody is expert, and when you go into knowing their background, their academic certifications, there is a lack of education or preparation. It happens. It happens every day. It happens, and with all these we have a lot of people telling themselves they are influencers in a lot of topics they are not. So I wouldn't like to have that experience in something that it's too much important, which is leading and guiding an organization and its people to success.
Yeah.
So definitely, in effect, I got the certification as a virtual facilitator. I know that in effect has a very very strict.
Rigorous?
I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't want to
Rigorous?
say the word strict, but I know that the people you certify has to prove themselves,
Yeah.
and you go through that process.
Right.
In effect, goes through that process.
Right.
You have requirements. You have hours yeah, participation, engaging, practice.
And I will say that the International Association of Facilitators also certifies the certified professional facilitator as opposed to the certified master facilitator. The really important thing here is having that credential that says, you know what, you have been assessed by your peers that you can do a great job. The next level on which certification is, another
Yeah.
topic. Yeah.
No, definitely. That's a must. You
Yeah.
don't put yourself into a surgery if that doctor is not certified by the board of
Right.
of medicine,
Yeah.
and doing this kind of interventions on organizations. It's a surgery.
That's right.
It's a
That's right.
surgery. So you want to make sure that the people you are bringing as facilitator are are capable of doing so, and they have been go through a process to learn, to acquire the tools, the knowledge, the skills and abilities to do it well. So I think that's the minimum.
There we go.
Yeah.
In the limited time we have left, how can a facilitator earn HR's trust to get hired? If we go back to that, three people walk in a room, how can someone earn your trust to say, do you know what? I'm the best facilitator for you to hire.
Yeah, definitely. I think that not necessarily coming with all the facilitation structure, knowledge, base of information, but to speak more business about the business and about people, right? Which is, our common interest, the people and the business. The people will generate the outcomes for the business. So understanding what it's understanding a bit of HR, putting themselves into HR foot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Choose, um, understanding a bit, and they're not HR people, but at least having the curiosity to understand the constraint of an HR department or an HR leader, working, seeing everything that is happening in the organization, and trying to keep everything in balance.
Right.
Learning and understanding the policies and
Yes.
the internal politics
Yes.
that
Yes.
happens into organizations as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that an approach of a facilitator should be a curiosity
Yeah.
over any kind of ego, confidence,
Mm.
and focus. They must demonstrate that they are focused on that win-win stage,
Yes.
that win-win
Yes.
situation, the
Yeah.
scenario
Yeah.
that we're looking for,
Yeah.
and that they can focus on those sustainable outcomes.
Fantastic. Iris, I
Yeah.
really appreciate this information, and I really hope anyone watching this podcast, it's been a benefit to them as well, because I think both from the HR perspective and from the facilitator perspective, we need to understand how to talk and interact with each other. So, thank you so much, Iris. I really appreciate your time.
Sure. And one last thing, we are hiring facilitators, um, not because meetings are or people among the organizations are broken, because of the cost of conflict, misalignment,
Oh,
or the
yeah.
slow decisions has over the organizations. And at that point where all of the above are at stakes, a facilitator becomes a strategic partner and a strategic investment for an organization, not a nice to have. So this is imperative. It's
Yes.
important that we, acknowledge that.
It's a great point. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Iris.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Aileen.